Hello students, welcome to TechBox. In this video, I would like you to share some important points regarding your computer science practicals for class 12 computer science. Hope all are good and preparing well for your board examinations. Take care of your health and study well. All the best. Okay, let us move on to the session now. So your computer science exam is comprising of 100 marks in total. Out of that 70 marks you are writing on the theory part, right? And the remaining 30 marks you are writing on the practicals part. So upon these 30 marks under the practicals, you have 4 divisions. So the first division is your lab test. So under the lab test, you have 2 parts. So they will be asking you Python programs and SQL queries also. Okay, you will be having total of 8 marks for Python program and 4 marks for SQL queries, total of 12 marks. Okay, so under the Python program, they will be asking you to write the user defined functions, the programs under the user defined functions. Okay, you should write it with 60% logic. Okay, so the logic of the program should get covered under that, and the 20% of documentation also should be covered, and 20% they will be looking upon the quality of the code you have been provided on the practicals. So what is the documentation? So the documentation is nothing but you should comment the lines which is provided in your code in the practicals. Okay, you should put the explanation of each and every code. Okay, for some codes you can write the comment it and write the code's meaning in the comment section. So that's called as documentation. So at least they will be seeing upon 20%, they will look upon the documentation you have been put in your practicals. So it will be meaningful if you put the comments part that's coming under the documentation. The next is SQL queries. So under the SQL queries, they will be asking 4 queries which is based on 1 tables or 2 tables with connectivity. Upon the second part of the practicals, you should be providing the lab report file, so which you have been prepared by your 12th standard sessions. So you have been written at minimum 50 Python programs in that laboratory file, and you have been written SQL queries with minimum 5 sets using 1 table or 2 tables, and you should complete minimum 4 programs based on Python SQL connectivity, which carries 7 marks. Coming upon the projects, so the projects, under the projects, they might be asking you these viva voce questions. Okay, so under the project, you should use the concepts of class 11 and 12th concepts like modules and the functions you have learnt on the sessions of 11 and 12 and use it under the project, and it carries 8 marks. And viva voce, they will be asking for 3 marks. So all these is covered under the 30 marks. Okay, under the viva voce, they will be asking you the questions related to your projects and the questions related to your practicals questions. Okay, let us see the important thing on the next part, how to get 30 out of 30 in your practicals. So let us see in detail. So I have given the note here, just read this. Computer science is a subject of practice, right? So you should practice to get good marks in your computer science. So it is not a memorizable subject, so you should not boycott any programs or any points to remember, just you should work and practice. Okay, and the second one is aiming for 100 marks in computer science needs more practice. Again, I'm saying needs more practice by solving at least 6 sample papers and previously asked questions. Okay, so PYQs, previous year question papers also, you should remember PYQs, and you should read at least 6 sample papers which is provided by CBSE official website. Then you should aim for 100 marks then. Okay, so you should need more practice by solving these 6 sample papers and previously asked questions from previous year question papers. And the third point is, another important point to note is that to reach 100 in computer science, you must need 30 out of 30 in your practicals. If you are aiming for 100 out of 100 in computer science, then you should need to get 30 out of 30 in your practicals part. So you should give importance for each and every part of the practicals so that you can get 30 out of 30. Then the last point is, what you have to do is, so download the Python and MySQL software and start working each and every problems provided by your school lab file now onwards. Okay, you have a time and you can start working to get your marks. So the next point to remember for viva voce, so under the viva voce, they might ask you about introduce your projects. Okay, what is your project is about? And the second point, they might ask you the objectives and the scope of the project, for what this project has been created and the use of these projects. Okay, and the third one is the modules used in the projects. So in your project, what and all the modules you have been applied for, you should explain that. If they have asked you to explain, then you can explain the modules. Otherwise, you can name only the modules which have been used in the projects. And the next one is the functioning and working of your project, how the project is working. So you should explain them, okay, how it is functioning or working. Then next is they might ask you like steps for creating the database connectivity, functions to fetch the data from the database. So these are all very easy, how to connect the database with Python with MySQL, and what are the functions to fetch the data from the database. If you don't know, please go and watch the video under the fetch functions which I have been provided before, okay, under the interfacing part. So the next one is various functions used in the projects. So what are the functions you have been used, that also they will be asking you. And the next, they might ask you like stack and its operations. So very easy, they will be asking you what is a stack and what are the operations of a stack. And finally, they might ask you SQL commands. Okay, so for 3 marks they might ask 3 questions. So out of this, they might ask anything they have been thinking at that time. So SQL commands, so you should read the SQL commands, like the difference between char and varchar data type, between operator, where clause. So you can read all the SQL commands thoroughly, okay. And you should know the projects files also. You should read the program files which is given in this part. So read this. So they have been given here. See the practical questions part. So first program, read the text file line by line and display each word separated by hash. Okay. Then the second program is read a text file and display the number of vowels and consonants, uppercase and lowercase characters in a file. And the third program, you should remove all the lines that contains the character A in a file and write it to the another file. Okay, the next program is create a binary file with a name and roll number, and you should search for a given roll number and display the name of that person. If not found, display the appropriate message. So you should know all those important things for importing the data. So for binary file, we should import pickle, right? So create a binary file with roll number, name and marks, get these roll number, name and marks, and then on the read part, you should input the roll number and update the marks also you should do by using the update function. And then next is write a random number generator that generates the random number between 1 to 6. So like playing in a dice, you should create a program for generating the random numbers and use the random function, okay, random function to create this program. And the next set of program is write a Python program to implement a stack using list by using the push pop and display peep function. We are having the implementation of the stack in the Python program. And the last is create a CSV file. So you should import CSV for this program and enter the user ID and password and read and search the password for the given user ID. So practice all these programs under this database management. So see here, create a student table and insert the data which is given in your question. And after that, they might ask you these type of questions. So alter the table to add the new attributes or modify any data type or dropping the attribute. Updating the table to modify the data. Then use the order by clause for ascending and descending order. And for removing the tuples. So removing the rows, you can use the delete function, and by using this group by clause you can find the aggregate functions like min, max, sum, count and average. So you should know to work on all these database management questions for these simple commands. You should work on this, okay, practice this, and you can go for your practicals. Then it will be easy for you to crack your practicals. Okay, they might ask similar exercise that may be framed in other cases. And integrate SQL with Python by importing the suitable module. So these are the things you should be remember for your practicals. Okay, all the best. Do well the practicals part very easily. And the next part is points to remember before going to the practicals. So before going to the practicals, these are the points you should remember. Just be patient and attentive. So you should be attentive in your practicals session. Don't memorize the programs and go. Okay, before going to the practicals, don't memorize or mug up the program simply and go, otherwise it will get blank during that time. So just understand the concept and you should proceed the practicals. The next point is don't overwrite in your practical exam answer sheet. Okay, this might create a negative impact on the externals on you. So don't overwrite your exams. So the next part is do the programs in computer first and then write it down in your answer sheet once you have got your correct output. Okay, don't write your programs at the start in your answer sheet. Try to work on the computer first. After getting the output, just copy down in your answer sheet in a neat manner. Then make a neat presentation. It's very important. Okay, so all the best. Do the practical exams well. Thank you. Subscribe to TechBox and share it with your friends and families.